Hey, it's Mr. Barr here for your business and tech lesson of the day. Yesterday we looked at the changing job market. We talked about growth. We talked about the role of women, pressures of technology, contingent workers who don't have long-term contracts with places. Then we moved on to business and the economy, and we talked about the size of the businesses, the roles they have, the impact they have on the community. Looked at a graph view of that. We looked at the ideas of them creating ideas, raising capital, training personnel, buying goods, marketing goods, maintaining records, producers, what they do. We talked about intermediaries, what they do, and service businesses and what they do. And today we're on the different forms of business ownership. We're going to look at the three major forms of business ownership, determine when each form of business ownership is most appropriate, and recognize other specialized business ownership forms. So first of all, the first type of ownership we're going to talk about is a proprietorship. This is a business owned and run by just one person. This would be the majority of businesses like we talked about yesterday. A partnership is a business owned and controlled by two or more people who have a written agreement. This would be a lot of your mom and pops or partnerships, different family members, things like that. We'll get more into that in a second. Corporations are a separate legal entity formed by documents filed with your state. This is your bigger companies. It can also be a smaller company. You'll see a lot of LLC, limited liability corporations that are around here. And like I said, it kind of gives some protection to the owner. This is a breakdown of number of businesses, their total revenue versus the total percent of the revenue. And this is what proprietorships are huge, but they don't bring much revenue in, whereas corporations are much smaller but bring in a majority of the revenue. Why would I choose a proprietorship? Most businesses begin this way because of the freedom. It's one person's idea. They have to pay taxes on everything they have because it's their business. You don't get taxed twice, which is an issue with corporations. A partnership is usually because two people want to start a business. Unlike before, we talked about one person, split the risk a little bit. There are some issues with partnerships when it comes to deciding ownership, what we're going to do if the business breaks up. A lot of times you definitely want to have a partnership agreement that breaks down everybody's rules, everybody's roles of the business, and how we're going to break up profits and losses and all that type of stuff. It gets a little more tricky with a partnership compared to a proprietorship. Choosing a corporation, this is when you want to break away and have some protection. Corporations then, it's a separate legal entity, but the problem is then you're going to get double taxation on that because you're going to get taxation on your personal income and your corporation. Articles of incorporation are, again, kind of like partnership agreement. It's a written write-up of how things are going to operate and run within your business. Corporation usually has corporate bylaws, operating procedures for the corporation. They're going to have a board of directors which guide them in decisions. Could be workers, could be people outside of the workforce. In schools, you'll see a board of education, which is people that are not employed by the school that help the school make decisions. Some specialized partnerships and corporations. You have limited liability partnership, which have more liability for some people and less liability for others. So I could be a limited partner where maybe I just give a guy $30,000. He takes my money and he invests it into the partnership, and I get a percentage of gain. I don't get any losses maybe, and maybe when I buy out, I get a X number of dollars back. So it's just a less liability for that person. A joint venture is a limited business grouping between two organizations. Maybe they come together for a project or a longer project, things like that. S corporation is limited liability of a corporation and are taxed separately. Limited liability company provides protection for the investors, and nonprofit corporations benefit the public. Nonprofits, like their names say, they're supposed to be an organization that doesn't make money. They're supposed to put all their money back into the business for growth of the business and to take care of needs. Co-ops and franchises are the next thing we're going to talk about here. Co-ops are owned by the members. The Clinton County Co-op for electricity is the best one I can give you here. So if I have Clinton County Electricity, I am basically an owner of my own electricity company. The day that I get out of the co-op, they will typically send me money that was made while I was a member. Franchise is a written contract granting permission to operate a business. The best franchise agreements I can give you is like McDonald's. I pay McDonald's a certain number of money. They start a McDonald's. They provide me the food. They probably provide me the construction. And what I do is give them that money, and then I get a certain percentage every year. And when I'm bought out, I get this number back. So it's high risk, high reward, and the franchise would be considered kind of a low risk because it's an established business, but the reward will be a little less because of that. And that's it for today. Good luck.